Good evening, YouTube family. T.O. here, Simplistic Fishing, back at you tonight with more lake breakdowns. Tonight, we're going a little bit to the northeast, about 15 miles northeast of Pittsburgh, Texas, to a little lake called Cypress Springs. It is 3,461 surface acres, so not a very big lake. Wasn't able to find a lot on this lake because the fluctuation was only 2 to 3 feet, so it doesn't really uncover much, but did find a lot of good offshore stuff. Also have brush piles from Texas Parks and Wildlife. And there's a decent little creek channel in there as well. So let's jump into it. Let's talk about Cypress Springs. Here we go. Let's jump into Lake Cypress Springs. So I'm using the new format that I talked about for the Lake Ray Hubbard. So I've done some updates to my maps, done some little bit different, better organizing of the points and things like that. So you'll see here, I've got a little bit different colored points and things like that. But when you're importing them into your graph, I'm not sure if these actual icons will import over or if they'll just come over as a standard icon. But at least when you're seeing it on Google Earth, you'll be able to see these fancy icons and be able to go through and kind of sort to what you want to look at. So let's move over here to the left-hand side, talk about that real quick. I've got a couple of different categories here for us to look at for Cypress Springs. We've got fish attractors, offshore hotspots, debris and cover. So that's going to be your laydowns, your piles and stuff like that. Also got all the ramps, any areas that have rocks, and then any creek channels that we were able to find as well. So have those marked in there as well. The other thing is on this lake, the fluctuation of this lake is only 2 to 3 feet. So with that being said, I couldn't really uncover a ton of stuff with Google Earth. So instead of going back and moving you back to 2013 and going through that and then doing another video on offshore hotspots, I'm just going to combine all of this together. So as I'm going through here though, if we're going through and let's say that we're looking at the debris and the cover, I'm probably going to move that date back to 2013 just so you can kind of get a little better idea of what I'm looking at. But everything else is going to show up for you on September of 2021. So let's go ahead and get started. Let's go over here to this left-hand side. I'm going to uncheck everything except for my fish attractors. So let's start here with the fish attractors. These are the fish attractor sites that the Texas Park and Wildlife has put into the lakes. You can see here I've got them all marked with trees. There are 7 different fish attractor sites there. You can see if I pull it back a little bit, you'll see it there as well. So before I jump in, don't want to do too much advertising, but you can pick up these points at simplisticfishing.com. Just go out there, tell me what your graph is, and then I'll be able to send you the card. And you'll have all of this stuff all on one card right for your graph. So it's really awesome. It's going to make fishing so much simpler for you. It really helps you break down the lake really, really fast. So moving over here, these are basically our fish attractor sites. I didn't see anything else down in here or anything else. They're all pretty much right there in that main area. So let's take off the fish attractor sites. And now let's go down and let's look at some of the offshore spots on this lake. So you can see I've got quite a few. I think there were 20 something. I don't remember the exact count, but let's run over and let's talk about them really quick. So let's start down here on the bottom and then we'll work our way up there to the top. So right in here, obviously you've got a hump. So take a look at that. You've got some stumps out here on this tree line. There's kind of a tree line here with some stumps as well, as it looks like a little bit of a drop off. So check out that area. Back in here, you've got 2 different ponds. This is actually a pond dam right in here. And so you've got this whole area that's your pond. So you could set up back here and cast towards that icon. That'd be a good way to set up. Also, same thing here, cast towards that icon. Another good pond dam right in there. And then as we move up here, we've also got a pretty good drop off right off the edge of this point. So it's right there where that dock is. So go out where that dock is and scan around right in that area and you should see a pretty decent little drop off, pretty steep little drop off. Then as we move over here, just a pretty good point with a flat top. If we move further out into the lake though, there is that underwater bridge that's right here that I've got marked for you guys. So you can see that out there. And then if you move back in towards the land, there's another pretty sharp drop coming off of this point right here. And I tell you what, guys, if you want for me to actually break this down on the Navionics side, just leave me a comment down below and I'd be more than happy to break this down on the Navionics side. But if not, let's just stick with these offshore spots for this smaller lake. Now, obviously on the bigger lakes, we're going to go in and talk about Navionics because it's really important. So let's keep on moving on. The next thing over here, you kind of have this stretch of docks that goes in this little, I guess you could say it's kind of like an L shape. There's a pretty good drop that happens right here between these two docks. So go check that out. See if you can find anything relating to that drop. And then I didn't really find anything for a while until we got back here a little bit further back, and you've got some pretty good points to fish. So you got a pretty good point right there that you could set up on. You've got some standing timber that's back in here as well. So definitely a good area. Love to fish that standing timber, especially when it's isolated like that. Got a real good underwater point that comes way out here as well. So you can see this one's marked. You've got another underwater bridge that's out here. And then right underneath this power line, you've got a creek channel swing that comes up. It actually comes this way where that bridge is, comes down here. You can't see it on Google Earth. I would have marked it for you guys, but it comes down here and swings down underneath these power lines. And there's an underwater point that's right here where that creek channel actually swings up against it. So take a look right there where I put that channel on. That should be more of your hotspot. Then as we move further back up in here, you've got an underwater culvert that's just outside the edge of that dock. So if you're over there fishing around that dock, come out just out the outside of it, probably maybe 100 feet or so, and you should be able to find an underwater culvert underneath there, at least something that's underneath there, some debris of some sort. And then I'm going to keep moving back up here. You got another pretty good point coming off here with a nice flat top, so you can see that. Moving up here, you've got another good point. And remember, guys, we had brush piles out here too, so if we go back out here, there's a brush pile right off the edge of this point. I had originally marked this as a point to fish, and then it just so happens they put a brush pile right there on it. So check out this side of the point where the brush pile is, but also depending on the wind, don't ignore this side of the point because it has kind of the similar breaks that this side does as well. So check out both those sides. And then moving up there, we just got those brush piles. We come off here, we've got a pretty sharp drop that happens just outside of this dock. So if you get right outside on this edge, right over here on this side, there's a pretty good little drop going on, and you've got a brush pile close by too, so that's always nice. Then over in here, it sounds like you've got, according to Navionics, you've got a lot of underwater tires that are around in this area. So come outside of this bigger dock where these 3 docks are, come just outside of there and look right in this area for some submerged tires. Those are really good if you can get some wobble heads, things like that, to fish around those. Those are good. Carolina rigs will work around the tires too, so lots of good stuff that you could throw around those tires. Then as we move over here, pretty good point as well, nice shallow top, so take a look at that point. And then on this point, we've got a pretty good point that comes out, obviously because it says point, but also what appeared to be a brush pile that was out there. So look at that one. That was not a state brush pile. That was just a brush pile that appeared to be a brush pile from Google Earth. So take a look at that one. Then moving back in here, you've got a channel that comes through here. You can almost see it on Google Earth. It looks like, maybe just a little bit of discoloration, but the channel kind of swings up here. You'll see it on Navionics if you bring up Navionics. But right here is a pretty good intersection where the channel is. And then also back in here, the channel actually swings up against the bank line right in this area right here. So this would be a prime spot, little secondary point with the channel swing to be fishing around. There's also a brush pile back here behind this dock. You could fish, maybe a crappie fisherman. And then over here off of this point, pretty good area to fish as well with a kind of a flat top to fish off of. This point as well looked really good. And then as we swing around here, this other point on this side looked pretty good too. It had a pretty good flat top with a pretty good drop off the edge of it. And then these, you can see these are long tapering points. Gonna be good come late fall. Come out here and take a look at these, but these are all gonna be good. Take a look at those points. You've also got another drop that's right in here. So that covers us. Well, we got one more. Sorry, I went too fast. Got one more right here off of this point. It's got a little flat top with a good little drop, and they could get back up in here and spawn. So this could be a good little staging area for them to set up in. All right, so that covers us for all the offshore stuff. Really happy you guys are sticking with us. And now let's go ahead and keep moving over. We're going to go and we're going to talk about the debris. So this is just all the stuff that I was able to find from Google Earth, which wasn't too much. So I'll go through them pretty quick. You've got a couple laydowns back in here. You got a couple more over in this area. And you can see I just marked them. These are the bigger laydowns that I could find that look like they will be submerged. I also found an area back in here that looked really interesting. I couldn't tell what it was. Let me go back in here. I'll take you back to 2013 real quick. But there's like these little pods, and I can't tell what they are. I don't know if this is drains or what, or maybe it's nothing, but I just put on here to check these because I don't know what they are, but they look interesting and they look totally different than everything else around there. Now it looks like it could be potentially like a little bit of a flat of some sort. So that could be a pretty good area to look at least figure out what the heck those things are. Then moving down here, we've got a couple more laydowns in that area. Try not to go too fast, but I also don't want to bore you guys with just pointing out bigger laydowns. We've got another laydown in here. I don't think I saw anything back in that backside. And you'll see I just kind of really struggled to find good stuff on this lake. That it didn't really give me too much. We've also got this right here, so a couple laydowns in here. So if you come back here where these little channels are cut out for these boat docks and stuff, there's a pretty good laydown right here. Let me zoom in for you. That was about one of the best ones that I saw. I know it's pretty sad, but they are. This the laydown here, back here too, could be good. I always like those big old limbs. There's always a big old hog hiding underneath those usually. Got a pretty good area right in here too. I wanted you to check because it's like a little bit of a high spot, but it looks like it may have some debris or rock on it or something. There wasn't a lot of rock and debris in this lake. So that would probably be a pretty good place to check if that really is rock. I can see them relating to that big time. As I move further back out here, just seeing those brush piles, didn't see too much until we got back in here. We've got some debris that's back in here, just outside the edge of this dock. So it looks like it could be like a potential brush pile or something like that. And then as we move down here, there's some debris off the edge of this dock as well. So you can see there's something going on here in the water. It looks like maybe a brush pile or something, but it's in relation to these docks. I would imagine it's probably like a personal brush pile they put out there. Then I'm going to move back here. We're getting back where the creek channel is. Back here, you've got another laydown, which you can kind of see right here, right in there. That one looks pretty decent size. That's actually bigger than the one we talked about earlier. So I guess that's my biggest one that I saw. And then back here, there's one more laydown, I believe. A laydown and some debris. So we've got a laydown that's up there. It's pretty decent size. You can see it. And then right in here, can't see it because this icon's in my way. Let me see if I can move this icon. You can see right here, I don't know if these are stumps or tires or what they are, but there's some kind of debris setting up right in this area. So go over there and take a look at that area, just see what it is, scan around it, see if the fish are actually, attracted to that, because they could definitely be. I like where it sets up. And then as we get back in here, we get into the creek channel. Now, if you've ever watched any of my videos before, what I used to do is go in and put a point, and I would just mark each point all the way through these creek channels. It would take me like 20 or 30 points, but I would mark that creek channel for you guys. Then when you went out there on the water, you just follow those points and be able to figure out where the channel was, but it wasn't exact. Well, I've got good news for you now, because I have changed that and found a way to actually make it exact. So I'm going to open these up for you guys and show them to you. Super cool. So basically now, instead of having to follow those points, you'll be able to follow a track. So this track, as you'll see, it follows this creek channel all the way through. So you can fish around this creek channel, fish around the bends. Those are always good high percentage areas anytime it makes those big turns. And then down here, you can see the creek actually comes up against the bank line and makes a pretty hard swing down all the way into this cove before it comes back up. So you've got a couple different areas there you can fish. Those creek channels are super cool. I love having the tracks now, because that's going to make it just so much more accurate when we're back there fishing them. So I'm going to keep moving up. We've got some more laydowns that are back in here. So you'll see the laydown there. That one, I'm not sure if it gets completely submerged or not. With this lake only being 2 to 3 feet in fluctuation, that one may always be standing, but maybe there's some limbs and things like that that are still dangling in the water that you can fish around. Then as we get up here, it looks like we've got a couple things right off the tip of this point. And I believe this was an offshore spot out here as well, but these could be laydowns in the water. They're not in the water here, but again, only 2 to 3 feet. So it's kind of hard to say if they'll actually be in the water or not. In fact, let's go ahead and just move it up and let's see. So they're actually in the water. So you got a laydown here in the water, brush here, and another laydown here as well. So look at those areas. Those are shallow brush piles, but at least there are brush piles and something to relate to, and it's off a main lake point. So all that's sounding pretty good. Probably a place I'd have to go fish. Then we're going to keep moving down here. Off this point, we got a lay down. I think we also had a brush pile back in here as well for your offshore stuff. And then moving on up, didn't find much in here at all. And I don't think I found anything until I got all the way back in here. Finally, Google Earth gave me something. Here's those pond dams we talked about earlier. And then inside the pond on this side, you got a couple different big laydowns right here. I don't know if this is definitely a laydown. I'm not sure what this is. Could be a laydown. I made it a laydown, but it almost looks like it has some debris on it as well. But take a look at both of those. Those look really juicy. And then that takes us back to basically the riprap at the dam, so you could fish the riprap at the dam. Now, with that being said, let's go ahead and select rocks here, and you'll kind of see there's not too many areas where there's actually rocks on this lake. So I'm going to unselect everything else. And we're going to zoom out. And let's say we wanted to fish rock on this lake. Well, we'd kind of be hosed because there's not too much rock on this lake, at least from what I could find. You basically have the riprap on the dam, which is right here. You've got a little bit of rock that's back in here. You zoom in here and show it to you guys. You can see it right here off the edge. Now, the other thing is I don't know for sure that this is rock. This could just be like really thick vegetation or even tires. It's hard to tell, but it looks like rock, so I'll call it a rock. Hope I don't disappoint you guys. Get out there and it's vegetation or tires. If it is, let me know. And then down here, we've also got some rock right off the edge over here. So if I come over here, you can see it pretty significant. And there's not a lot of rock in here. So this would be out here by this ramp. You got some pretty good rock right in that area. And I think that's pretty much it, unless we got one more spot over here. So over here, again, this is going to be by the boat ramps. So the boat ramps, or I thought it was, it's not. It's right off of Main Lake Point. So look at that. Pretty good rock coming right off of Main Lake Point. So really like that one. That one looks good. So not a lot of rock on this lake, but where there is rock, they definitely look like high potential areas. And then the last thing I want to show you guys is just the ramps. So instead of pointing them all out to you, I'm just going to zoom back and show them to you. There are a ton of different ramps that are here. So you could just go through, if you were on a boat ramp pattern, you could come in here and just hit each one of these ramps and just go through and just find the ones that are the most effective, the most productive, and just really have a heyday. So this is going to mark all your ramps, all your rocks, all your creek channels, all your debris, all your offshore stuff, as well as your fish attractors. So those are all going to be there too. So let's get back out here to go back to our offshore stuff. And now basically you have everything that you could possibly imagine for this lake to break down. So if you want to go offshore, go offshore. If you want to go fish creek channels, go fish creek channels. Ramps, go for it. Rocks, bridges, all that stuff. Guys, it's all here. Hopefully you guys are taking advantage of these. This is really going to help you out with your fishing. If you have any comments or anything, let me know for sure. If you haven't hit that subscribe button down below, definitely do so. And make sure to go out to our site, simplisticfishing.com, and pick up your card today. Until next time, I hope you catch your PB. Take care.